On this episode, we finish the dry fitment on the 56 Buick Kustom and move to the original 364 blown nailhead engine as we give it a dress up and prep it for a fresh candy apple paint job. Let's go. All right, welcome back. We are continuing our journey on the restoration of Yvonne Peroff's 56 Buick. We are now to the point, if you've been following along our episodes, to where we have to fit the rear bumper and taillights to the car and also the side trim. Now, if you're at home, you might be asking, why are they bolting all these parts on over the primer? Well, this is what we call dry fitment. We want to make sure that everything fits meticulously and perfectly before we actually paint the car. So what we're going to dive into now is Adam and Brandon are going to continue the dry fitment on the back end of the car and also get the side trim bolted up. And then we will be able to continue into the engine bay, and we're going to do a little bit of modification and or restoration to the original 364 nail head that is going to go in the car, and also the very cool McCulloch supercharger that sits right under the hood scoop. So let's dive into it now. Let's check in with Adam and Brandon, and we will get after it.
All right, here we have the rear bumper for Bobby's 56 Buick. We're going to get started seeing how this fits. We're going to get bolted on the car. Might need some modifications. It's been shortened, it's been sectioned. So now we're going to focus on getting the rear end of the car assembled.
As Adam and Brandon begin the rear dry fit assembly, it's important to remember that all of these classic cars have had damage and accidents over the 50 or 60 years that they've been driving on the road. And this Kustom Buick is no different, as when it came into the shop, it had extensive damage on this passenger side quarter panel. So we have reworked all of the metal, and now after dry fitment of the bumper and taillights, we can see just how precise our new quarter panel and metalwork really is.
The rear bumper fits. We got a couple of the tabs missing from it, so we got a couple modifications to make, put some of the mounting tabs back on it. It's in the car. It fits. The gaps look okay. There might be a little bit of build-up to do here and there on some gaps, but we're going to bolt it in for the first time now and see how it looks. Brandon and I got the rear bumper installed on the Buick for the first temporary mock-up. We got the taillights in, we got the gap fillers here, the sheet metal fillers. It's pretty close. There's some modifications that are going to need to happen, but that's why we do it this way. We put it on in primer so that you can see what needs to change, modify it as needed before the car is beautifully painted, and that's much harder to do. But it's on the car temporary. The changes for this bumper are going to be these holes need to be opened up a little bit, and we need to slightly change the geometry of the bracket so when the bumper slides in, it doesn't bind up inside of these holes. We also need to make sure that the bumper is on the same radius as the rear trunk lid right here so that it follows that radius. We have a little bit of difference there right now. And then also these ends, you can see this one's kind of tailing up and the other side is actually pretty flat and good. So the bumper has some twist in it right now, probably from heat or warpage or something like that. So gonna get the twist out, get all the edges dialed in, and make it be able to be installed easily when the car is finished painted. And the taillights also are on, just mock up for now. We need to see all these reveals right here where we have any extra filler or where the taillight bezel is maybe a little bit crooked. So we're just gonna work on dialing in all these reveals on both sides, getting everything fitting correctly before it goes into finished paint. Now we will be getting to the side trim on the car. Let's get on it.
As Brandon and Adam fit the trim over the freshly painted 56 Buick body, this is actually our second time mocking up this trim. The first time we ended up doing this job was when the car was in bare metal, and although the trim fit very well, After our body filler and primer process, we want to triple check and verify that the trim has no gaps and fits without pulling the body inward as we tighten the studs. If you're new to our channel and new to this series on the 56 Buick Kustom, it's important for me to note that this Buick was sectioned 4 inches in 1959 on the Hawaiian Islands. Sectioning a car means that a portion of the height of the body was cut out and removed, thus lowering the car and streamlining the entire profile. This does change the location holes of the mounted trim, and we want to verify that everything checks out from right to left on the height and the overall fitment. Everything from the Sentry emblems to the side fender ports gets bolted in, checked for fitment, and completed. Once finished, as you can see here, the body with all of the trim, bumpers, headlights, and taillights looks absolutely phenomenal.
Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode here at Mackey's Hot Rod Shop. Today, we're working on Bobby Buick's nail head engine out of the world famous section Buick that he's got. Our goal today is to disassemble and strip the paint. So we are going to repaint this sucker, probably a very similar red. As you can see here, it was painted a long time ago. It's got some chips. It's just not doing so well. So we're gonna strip it down, prep it, respray it. These headers, we're also going to smooth these cast headers, make them butter smooth in order to chrome them, and they're going to look flawless. So buckle up, cowboys, because we're diving in.
As Ethan continues on the disassembly of the 364 cubic inch Buick nailhead, we are faced with a difficult challenge on just how to strip this engine. Although the engine is freshly rebuilt and fairly recently painted with a candy apple red, we do need to strip it and redo it with an epoxy barrier coat, followed by polyester, and finally the candy apple paint. So what we determined on the best way to strip this was with a 3-inch roll-lock wheel, wire wheels, and small die grinders to remove all the paint. All right, so we're over here in the machine shop, and Ethan just got this original 364 nailhead stripped down, and one of the pieces that we're going to chrome plate is this lower crank pulley that runs the McCulloch supercharger, and as you can see up close, it's got some grooves and some ridges. So the easiest way here, I think, is just to chalk it up into the lathe and smooth it out so we can send it out for chrome. And while I'm working on this, Ethan is over there smoothing a lot of the front runner bracketry and the pulleys, because those are all going to get re-chromed. And while I'm doing this, all 3 guys are in the shop prepping the engine. Brandon is going to get that into epoxy. Ethan's smoothing out and welding bracketry for the engine, and then also Mr. Lee is working on the exhaust manifolds, because we are going to chrome those too. So all right, so in a few minutes we got it all kind of machined. I actually ended up stepping it twice. And the nice part is when this thing is running on the engine, it'll run true, and then I'm going to send it out. I always have these balanced as well. So that's it. So let's go check in with the rest of the crew and see how they are making progress on the nailhead. Hey guys, are you buying or building a classic car? Do you have questions that need answers? Don't rely on AI. You can call me directly. I'll be sure to help you save time and money, plus build your skill set at home. Visit mackeyandmachine.com to book your session today. Let's get back to the video.
All right, got all the paint stripped off the engine. Definitely took a couple days, but we're moved on. We are now prepping some bracketry to hold the supercharger. I've got that thing all taken apart across the street. We've also got a few other brackets and engine components to get ready for chrome. We're moving right along.
Okay, so as the entire crew at the shop is smoothing and fairing and beautifying the engine with paint and chrome options, we are also going to chrome the exhaust manifolds. Now, these are original 365 Buick manifolds, and they didn't look this good when we started. This is the result of Mr. Lee grinding and smoothing these out. But I want to stress to you guys how difficult this is, because the whole concept here is that we don't take too much material away from the original exhaust manifolds, because they are cast iron, and the problem with cast iron is it has a pretty heavy texture out of the foundry, but we want to smooth that out to chrome plate them. The other issue with chrome plating any type of exhaust is that if we use copper as a filler metal before the chrome, it will yellow the exhaust manifolds. And so our goal here is that we chrome these and we take the least amount of material off of the cast iron manifold. We will use nickel and then chrome, but no copper. And so there are going to be areas like in these crevices that are very thin that we can't really dress and smooth entirely. So as these are chrome plated, they will still have some texture, but overall they'll look very smooth. And again, our goal is that they look period to the car, which is late 50s.
All right, so Ethan got the motor stripped, everything taken apart off of it, cleaned up. Now we're just backmasking all the opened areas in the ports where we don't want any paint to get into, so we can make sure our gaskets seal properly. We're gonna epoxy it. We're gonna go white on this and white on the transmission. As you see, I've already taped that off and got that ready to go. So we'll do a couple coats of epoxy, get it all nice and white, and then we'll be able to go ahead and throw down our red candy base coat.
So for those of you that are watching at home and have painted an engine in your garage, there is a very successful spray can from Duplicolor and other companies that is a high heat resistant material. But for us here at the shop, painting an engine in a translucent candy apple color, we have to take a few different steps. And one of those is to begin with an epoxy barrier coat. This two-part epoxy component is ultra strong and has incredible adhesion to the bare metal cast iron block. Besides just relying on the two-part epoxy component, Brandon has meticulously scrubbed and cleaned this engine after Ethan had stripped it down with the Rolox 60 grit. As Brandon finishes on his second coat of epoxy primer, you can see the payoff on just how smooth the block is from the hours of preparation. All right, so Brandon just finished spraying the white epoxy DP onto the 364 nailhead, and it looks so good in all white, but this is not where we're gonna stop. The next step on the engine is to coat a polyester high build primer over this epoxy. Now we're using the epoxy because it's so strong and durable, and it has a great overall etch to the bare metal, which we really like. The high build polyester is going to fill all these little crevices and all the casting flaws, and we'll be able to smooth that out, and this will give Brandon the perfect texture to lay down the candy coat. You know, we are layering this in red candy, which is going to eventually be probably 5 layers of paint and clear. So great progress once again on this episode. We've done a ton of little things which eventually kind of all come together. When we go to assemble this car, we know that it's perfect. So you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Be sure to subscribe. If you don't hit that subscribe button, there's a chance that you're not going to see our videos anymore. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay along on this iconic 56 Buick restoration from the Hawaiian Islands. So we will see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching.